generally smaller than probably other ones that you've gone to. I usually average, or I should say before COVID, we were averaging about 40 people at a boot camp, which quite frankly for me was perfect. It was not, it was big enough that we had plenty of energy, but it was not so big that people got lost and couldn't get their questions answered. Since COVID, they've gotten smaller. So I've done, most of them have averaged around 40. I've done some at 75 or 80, but these aren't these big, mega boot camps that you go to that have 2 or 3 or 400 people. And quite frankly, most of those aren't really educational. They're, from what I've heard from other people that have gone to some educators, they're more rah, get you all pumped up, get the adrenaline going, bright lights, loud music. My class is actually education for all 4 days. It is a 4-day boot camp from Thursday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. all 4 days. There's nobody else coming in to sell you their products or services. It's me, it's training, it's doing stuff just like this for 4 straight days. And of course, you're going to have opportunities to ask your questions. We recommend that you bring in your own live deals so we can do what we just did with that student on Saturday at the workshop. We can do that right in the boot camp with you. We could do it on Thursday afternoon, which is when we do the quick analysis, or at breaks, lunches, at the end of the day. I don't run out of the room at the end of the day and go back to my hotel room or go back to my home or whatever the case is. I'm there for you for 4 days, and I give it 110% because you paid me to be there, and I'm going to make sure I knock your socks off with education and information. It's going to be in Houston on June 11th through the 14th. It's going to be at a Sheraton called the Sheraton Brick Hollow. Do not just show up on the day of the event. You have to pre-register. If you do not pre-register, we will turn you away at the door because we have to prepay for food. We have to prepay for the seats and the workbooks and everything else go along with it. So if you're going to come, you need to get signed up through James. The other thing that I will tell you is we do have plenty of seats left because we've got about 20 right now. But we were a little late in looking for a hotel. So when we found the Brook Hollow, they only had one room left, and it was 2,600 square feet. So we literally rented a 26, because I told them, it's like, do you have somebody that might want to switch with us? Because we really don't need 2,600 square feet. They're like, that's all we got left. Nobody wants to, there's no way we can move anybody else, especially since you're going to be there for 4 days. I was like, oh man. It's like, okay, well, they're still charging us for a room that's 1,000 square feet, but it's still expensive. But we've got plenty of room, so you don't have to worry about, do you have any seats left? Yes, we got plenty of room, plenty of seats left. However, registration closes this Thursday because on Thursday, I need to give them the head count and we need to order the food. So at the very least, you're going to get lunch on Thursday. Now, the reason I say very least, because depending on how many people come in our budget, because a lot of hotels these days, you have to pay for a certain amount of food. You don't just pay for the room, you also have to guarantee a certain amount of food. And so depending on where we're at with the budget, we may be buying you more stuff. Like the last boot camp we did in New Orleans, we bought lunch on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because that's the budget that we had. So, we're okay with that. Everybody had a good time. We had some great food. But anyway, it is all 4 days, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I don't run out of the class at the end of the day, so you're going to get at least 24 hours of education, if not more. Sometimes I'm there until 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, either analyzing deals, answering questions. Sometimes the students will stick around and we'll all go grab dinner in a restaurant someplace, either there at the hotel or someplace out in the real world. But the deal that I made back in Houston, I'm going to honor that again, but I'm only going to do it for 24 hours since the registration closes on Thursday anyhow. So here's the deal. So the first person, and I don't mean the first person that orders it. I mean, if you're coming in a partnership of 2 with a family member or a business partner, the first person pays $1,495, and what you get for $1,495 is you get the downloadable home study course. So we send you a link so you can download all 40 plus files. There's spreadsheets, there's letters, sample letters of intent. These are simple one-page documents that you use to put in your initial offer. And the 3 that I give you, the reason I chose those is because all 3 of those have some type of creative financing in them. There's addenda that you can add to the back of your contract to help make sure that you're covered, so that you get the documentation and things that you need, or that you can get out of the deal if you need to be able to get out of the deal. There's 7 or 8 pieces of software that we give to you. There's at least 8 audio files. There's a couple video files. The 8 audio files take you through the 7 steps that you go through on any purchase from, and this is how the boot camp works. We start with locating markets and locating properties within the market. Then once we find those properties, we do a quick analysis. Once we do a quick analysis, we then put in an offer if the numbers work. If the offer is accepted, you go to the next 2 steps, which is financing and due diligence. Financing, we teach you not only traditional ways to do financing, but creative ways to do financing. With due diligence, if you've only done single-family homes, you're used to doing the physical due diligence, which is the inspection. But now you have to add on, because it's an income-producing property, you have to add on the financial inspection. So there's 2 big important sections to due diligence. Then there's the 6th section is negotiations. Now you're going to do some negotiations down in the offer phase, but you might have to retrade or renegotiate once you start the financing and due diligence in steps 4 and 5, based on what the seller gives you to prove the numbers based on the offer that you made back in the quick analysis and offer section. Then the last section is the closing, actually getting to the closing table. The audio files in the home study course average about 30 to 40 minutes from steps 1 through 7. Okay. But in the boot camp, we dive deep into each one. So on Thursday morning, we start with locating markets and locating properties. That's 3 to 4 hours of content. Thursday afternoon, another 3 to 4 hours on the quick analysis. Friday morning, we start the offer phase. We spend 6 to 7 hours doing the offer phase. And this is the philosophy that goes into making offers, the negotiation that goes into making offers, why you're asking the seller to provide the documentation you're asking them to provide. All of that is part of that process. And we don't even go through contracts, because I'm not going to go through 50 different contracts for 50 different states. This is just the process to get to the contract phase. And we do talk about contracts in a general format, not in specific paragraph by paragraph format. Friday afternoon, we start on financing. We finish up financing on Saturday. So we go through traditional financing and creative financing, how to potentially get 0 interest seller financing from the seller, how to get the seller to do seller financing at all, how to do wrap mortgages, how to do subject twos, things like that with your deals. So just like single family homes, you can be creative with apartments. Then Saturday afternoon to Sunday morning, we do due diligence. So all the information that you got from the seller in the offer phase, now we show you what to do with it, how to do both the physical due diligence and the financial due diligence, and go through some of the software as well. So we do that on Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. Saturday afternoon, we spend another 2 to 3 hours on negotiations. I actually pepper in negotiation strategies on all the other sections, but there's an additional 2 to 3 hours on negotiations Sunday afternoon. Then we do the closing section. The closing section, what to expect at the closing table, that's only 20 to 30 minutes. The reason that's the shortest section is because if you're going to have brain damage on your deal, that's going to happen in sections 1 through 6. So by the time you get to step 7, it should be quick, simple, and painless. So that's Sunday afternoon. So 4 full days. So the first person, you get all the home study course downloads. Part of the home study, part of the process, of course, is the actual 4-day boot camp, right? So the home study course the boot camp mirrors the home study course, where you get 30 to 40 minutes of audio information. With the boot camp, you get hours and hours of information. At the end of the 4-day boot camp, there's actually an additional coaching program that goes along with it for 8 weeks. It's what I call my quick start program. So instead of you just getting educated and going home and throwing your book on a shelf and going, I don't know what to do now, I'm going to give you written instructions, and I'm going to put you in a small group of people at the boot camp, 6 to 8 people per team. So you have accountability with your teammates, and you're going to have written instructions on what you're going to do for the next 8 weeks after the boot camp is over. And as part of that, you're going to have 5 webinars with me. Every couple of weeks, we'll have a webinar so that we can go over the process for each phase. There's 4 phases. And we'll talk about what went good in the phase, what did not go good in the phase, and based on what didn't go good, what can you as a person or as a team do to improve that? Because you're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to have people ask you questions that you don't remember the answer to or don't know the answer to. I'm going to help coach you through that for the next 8 weeks. That's included. So the first person, if you're partnering with a family member or business partner, it's $1,495. You get the 40 downloadable files, you get a seat at one of the 4-day boot camps, and you get to participate in the 8-week quick start program. If you add on a family member or a business partner, it's only $495 to add them on. So $495 more. So less than $1,000 each. You each get your own downloads. You each get a seat at one of the 4-day boot camps. You don't even have to come to the same boot camp. And you each get to participate in the 8-week follow-up coaching program. So that actually went up from the last time I was there. I told everybody I was raising it from $1,495 to $1,895. I'm going to drop it back down for just the next 24 hours because, again, the cutoff is Thursday anyway. So if you don't get registered one way or another, you're not coming on June 11th through the 14th. And by the way, if you can't make Houston the 11th through the 14th, once you pay for the boot camp, you've paid for the boot camp. So even if I raise my prices going down the road, I'm not going to charge you more to come to a boot camp. I will keep inviting you to a boot camp until you make it. There's no expiration on when you come to a boot camp. So if you can't come on June 11th in Houston, I've got one coming up in Denver, and I've got another one coming up in Cleveland this year, and then I'll have more in 2027. So I'll keep inviting you until you make it. Oh, one other quick thing. So I talked about this earlier. This is a training class that we do. This is actually 7 days, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's a blank page. Can you see the blank page? This is a training class that we do. It's on a catamaran. So those of you who like going to warm tropical places, this is awesome. We're running a special for our Belize. We actually have a hybrid one coming up in Belize. So those of you that get seasick, the hybrid that we're doing in Belize, you don't have to spend the week on the catamaran. By the way, this is a business trip. This is training on a catamaran. The hybrid in Belize is we spend the night at a resort each night, and we go out during the day on the catamaran. So if you want to go out, you can. If you don't want to go out because you get seasick, you could stay at the hotel and you can read a book. You can lay around the pool. You can go into town. You can do whatever you want to do, but it's going to be a hybrid. So normally we actually spend the whole week on the catamaran sailing around from island to island. We're not doing this time in Belize. So here's the special deal we're cutting on this. Is normally this is $8,900 per cabin. So this is per cabin. So that's for 2 people. And by the way, I don't care who you come with, but there's only one queen bed. You can't split them like on a big cruise ship. So we've had 2 women come that were business partners. We've had 2 guys come that were business partners. They made it work. Sometimes one of them would sleep in the cabin and one would sleep up on the deck or something like that, but they were fine with it. But it's normally $8,900, and it includes 2 packages to the boot camp, the home study course downloads and everything. It's all included. But here's what we're going to do, because we only have 3 rooms left for Belize, and because it's coming up in about 2 months, it's August 22nd through the 29th, Saturday to Saturday, August 22nd through the 29th in Placencia, Belize. We're doing a killer deal. It's only going to be $7,500. But again, it should be a tax deductible trip for you because we do training every day. We do enough training to satisfy the IRS's requirement that it actually is a business trip, so you can deduct it. But again, we also give you the 2 packages, and you don't have to share the package with the other person. So as an example, let's say you come with a spouse on the catamaran trip in Belize, the hybrid catamaran trip. Sometimes the spouse doesn't want to go to the training, so you can give the other training package to somebody else. So you can come with your spouse and go for the week in Belize and have a fantastic time. As a matter of fact, if you go to our website, successclasses.com, and go look at some of the testimonials, you'll be amazed at the testimonials that some people have left for us after our catamaran trips. And if you can't do that one, then we do have 2 more trips coming up next year. We have one in Greece, so we're spending a week in Greece, and then that's in May, and then in September we're doing Panama, Bocas del Toro in Panama. All right. So, any questions on any of that? Or James, did you have any other comments? I think you put the link for the boot camp in the chat.
Yes. Or yeah, they can register on that link. I'm dropping it again, or they can text the word boot camp to me.
And if you have any interest in the catamaran training, if you want to know more about that, let James know. Just say, like you said, text him and say, put in catamaran, and then James can send me your contact information, and me and my wife can contact you, because sometimes spouses, the husband's all good to go or the wife's good to go, but then the other spouse is like, I don't know if I want to do this. And again, it's an amazing adventure. You will remember it for the rest of your life. And the best part is it should be tax deductible for you.
And I did have a question a little while ago, but regarding the boot camp in Texas, do you know when you're going to come back and do another boot camp in Texas?
It's usually when you invite me back, and that's usually every 2 to 3 years. So I probably won't be back for another 2 to 3 years, but I do boot camps all over the country. So don't sit on your assets and wait for me to come back to Texas. If you can't make it to Houston, get off your assets and go someplace else, because this year, 2026 and 2027, man, if you don't take action this year and start buying apartments, in 28, 29, and 30, you're going to be kicking yourself saying, damn it, I should have listened to Anthony and gone.